I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Deep Singh Badesha. It's the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy's out this week. He'll be back in January, enjoying a nice, much-deserved vacation. I'll be out next week as well. Peter Boyles will be filling in throughout the entirety of the week, so it's going to be a lot of fun here on 710 KNUS. Live in studio with me, Deep Singh Badesha, Democrat Socialist of America. The debate, awesome, super hot, phone calls, text messages. By the way, it's also Festivus, so feel free. It's the perfect holiday for talk radio. Feel free to call in and air your grievances from either angle. I mean, Maylot served her grievances up with regards to Democrats being controlled by corporations. So if you feel like we need more government, less corporations, feel free to call in. All right, let's go to Frank in Evergreen. Good morning, Frank. You're on with Jeff and Deep.
Hey, good morning. First of all, Merry Christmas, and thank you very much for the treat of George Brockle this morning. That was awesome. Love to hear him.
Oh yeah.
So what your current two guests are saying, it lies somewhere between mind-numbing stupidity and outright lies. The truth is that Deep his ancestors came from a country where they've had centuries of socialism/communism, and 90% of people still live in cardboard boxes. And he wants to make America like where he came from. His ancestors came from. I know he was born here. But, why do you want to do that? Why don't you go back to India and make India like America? The problem is that there's people who don't know the truth, who listen to people like Deep and think that, oh, yeah, that'll be great. We can all be equal. It doesn't work that way, Deep. And I wish you had a modicum of intelligence to see through it. And by the way, why you're explaining why you won't go back and make India like America, why don't you explain to the people, the elites, the people in your nation who are not allowed to be touched by other citizens? Why don't you explain to people the caste system that you came from?
Let's let Deep have a response here. Go ahead, Deep.
Real quick. So my family has actually been in America since 1929. So in 4 years, we'll be here for over 100 years. So, families have a really rich history in America, and it's been, small business owners, doctors, engineers, lawyers, all across the board. So very fortunate to be that. America isn't a place that's based on ethnicity. It's based off a set of common values, right? Where you can believe in what we put down in the Declaration of Independence, what we put down in the Constitution, and that's what makes you an American, right? And that's something that Ronald Reagan said, right? You can live in France for a long time, but that doesn't make you French. You can live in Germany for a long time, that doesn't make you German. But in America, you can always become an American. And I think that's one of the best things about this country, right? Is it's a melting pot. Immigrants come in, we make this country better, and we join the American experience. This is a similar thing that happened last time, where there's this interesting juxtaposition you hear where folks like to criticize, and you've seen this like rising Indian American racism all across the board. But folks are like, India has 90. Wait, let me finish real quick, Frank. So you say like India is full of people with cardboard boxes, right? 90% of them live in cardboard boxes, while Indian Americans are the wealthiest ethnic group in America, right? Indian Americans make up a disproportionate share of Fortune 500 companies, right? When you look at Donald Trump's White House, right? Who are the tech CEOs who are going there? So it's like this interesting juxtaposition you create.
They shouldn't be allowed to donate to
no, it's just this interesting juxtaposition you create, right? You're trying to have this two mindset where you're trying to be like, India is so backwards and so poor that you have an inferior culture. Meanwhile, when we do come to America, we're in the top 1%, right?
Why do you think India has its challenges?
So I would say, before colonization, India was actually one of the wealthiest economies in the entire world, right? It made up 25 to 30%.
British fault.
Yeah, Frank, if you actually want to listen and you want to hear a little bit of history, I'll teach you this, right? Before India was colonized. Wait, hey. No. Frank, I'm going to teach you some history. You can go read some books.
No, you
can
don't
learn
teach
about
me
this.
anything. I'll teach you
Listen,
things,
Frank.
Deep.
Listen, Frank.
If you
Frank.
can listen
Before
long enough.
India was colonized, it was over 25% of the world's GDP, about 30% of the world's GDP. India had never had a famine in its entire history.
So how did they allow themselves to be colonized?
So India, like a lot of places, was split into multitude of kingdoms, right? India was never a country.
And
it was
India
actually
allowed that to happen,
right?
even though they were 25%
Frank,
of the world economy?
Frank, you're so wise. You're so smart that you're willing to, listen to contrary opinions and hear me out. But if you actually want to, learn something, I'll teach you here. So India wasn't a formalized country, right? It was actually a bunch of different princely states, and it wasn't like one formal empire,
so why
right? There was a lot of different things. So when the
now?
British came
Why
in, and like the
colonization
that happened everywhere across
Why
the world.
did the
And
elites
America
sit on
was
the
also
sidewalks
colonized. I
and
just
you
want to
won't
say
even
that,
touch
right?
them?
America was colonized, and we fought a war revolution against Europe, right? Against England. So, Americans, even like, back then were colonized people. Colonization happened all across the board because of what happened with Europe. So India was colonized. And before India was colonized, it was one of the richest places in the world. And all that resources, all the wealth of India was extracted over hundreds of years. So much so that the British knew this, right? India was known as the crown.
So I guess they weren't as good
crown
as you thought they
jewel
were.
of the British Empire, right? The reason why England, a poor country that has almost no natural resources, became one of the wealthiest countries in the entire world is because of the resources that it extracted from it. So you saw this with China and you saw this with India. China and India were extracted their resources and they had to essentially start from zero in 1940s. But since 1940 to now, you've seen the massive amounts of economic growth that China and India have had. And you've actually seen two, parallel different stories.
So why are they
China,
still living in cardboard boxes?
They're not, actually. You should go to Mumbai. If you go to Mumbai, it's some of the best
well,
restaurants in
that's
the
because
world.
Walmart's there and Costco and all the American companies are there that you are against. And Amazon is there.
Listen,
Amazon,
I'm not against.
By the way,
I am not against.
Who drives from Cheyenne to Pueblo in 3 hours? Nobody does.
Yeah,
So
corporations
you just
require
lie
that.
your butt off.
All right, Frank, I'm gonna let you go. Appreciate the call. Go ahead. I'll give you the final word, Deep.
So, the geopolitics of this stuff is interesting. You've actually seen this with China and India. So China had more of a socialist, communist worldview about what they were trying to build, and they took over 800 million people out of poverty. India had a lot more of like they had socialism built into their constitution in many ways in terms of the government programs, what you need to do, but they went a lot more of like a rogue free market kind of style, and they also uplifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty, right? So it'll be fascinating to see the trajectories of India and China as they go into the future, because again, these are two countries that are vastly resource rich and also have 1.4 billion people in each country, right? So that's like 1/3 of the world lives in either China or in India. And those countries have been wealthy historically. They went through a patch of colonization that made them poor, but they're going to come back.
Do you think, though, that it was the government that brought wealth and success to those countries, or was it the free market system? So you talk about China opening up in the 70s. What do you think it's the own people? I think it's the global market that brought financial plus cheap and abundant fossil fuels.
Well, so here's the thing. So you need human labor to create things, right? Like human blood, sweat, and tears is what toils the land. It's what makes things. It's what creates factories. It's what educates the next generation, right? So just basic economics, when you have a larger population that is a very productive population, you will end up with a wealthier country, right? That's why immigration is also a net benefit for a lot of Western countries as well, because when you have a larger increasing population, it's better for you all. I think it's a mix of a lot of things, right? Technological evolution, but it becomes about priorities. In China, you can see that they are able to plan 100 years in the future, right? China's like, hey, we want to build a high-speed rail line here. We want to build housing here. We want to invest in more engineers, so we're going to give college for free for engineers. We want to invest more into this sector, and they're able to plan 100 years in the future. In America, what we have done is we have outsourced all of our innovation, all of our technology purely to corporations and private equity who don't think about making profit in 50 years. They think about making profit for their shareholders the next quarter, right? So Americans are living one quarter at a time. Just be like, oh, let's make the stock market go. Like, oh, we can fire all these people and they can't afford houses and we won't give them pensions. But in China, you see they're sitting a 100-year goal. And it doesn't necessarily need to be the government structure of China. You've seen democratic societies. You've seen capitalist countries also plan 100 years. In America, we do not plan for 100 years anymore, right? We barely plan for 10 years.
Why would you? Why? I mean,
how long do you want to live for, Jeff? Do you want to just live one quarter at a time?
To that point, AI, no one could have conceived of AI 100 years ago. Why would I want the government to be planning for things 100 years ago that the market is going to develop and innovate?
If we create AI companies and AI systems where AI has to maximize
if you taught a bunch of kids to code right now, they'd be useless. I was talking to people that I think it was Colorado School of Mines, like, don't go to college for coding. Like, you're going to be out of a job in 3 years. So why would I want people planning 100 years like that?
You want to be able to prioritize something besides profit. In America, we have decided to outsource everything: the environment, our healthcare, everything
makes that
for
choice,
profit.
though?
If you are
government bureaucrat's going to decide something other than profit?
I think humans, like when you talk to small business owners, right? And I've talked to restaurateurs, I've talked to people who've opened up other small businesses, lawyers, doctors with their own clinic, right? And if I ask them, hey, what motivates you in your day-to-day life, right? What's your top 5 things? People will say their kids, their children, their community, their religion, their faith.
Right.
They'll say a list of 10 or 20 things before they get to profit. But we have created a society that you have to maximize profit. And the seeking of maximizing profit at all costs is going to be detrimental. Okay, let's go back to sports gambling, right? Do you believe in legalizing sports gambling?
No, I think it's stupid.
Well, welcome, my socialist friend. I mean,
no, I'm not socialist.
You want some government intervention here, sounds like.
Well, yeah, I'm not a libertarian. I actually believe prohibition works, but I'm a limited government, not a no government, and I'm not a socialist government either. But we've got to get to news. We'll continue the conversation. It is hot today. Sarah, we're going to get to you next, not just outside, but live in studio. Deep Singh Badesha, Democrat Socialist of America, willing to come and take your calls, debate with you. Appreciate it, Deep. You're doing great. Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. It is Tuesday, 38. Mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 65 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, the economy is growing faster than expected. New government numbers released today show the U.S. gross domestic product grew 4.3% between July and September. Analysts had expected a gain of 3.2%. Millions are hitting the road with only 2 days until Christmas. This traveler urged those heading to the airport like DIA to leave early.
Traffic was starting to get heavy, so I would plan to leave a little bit earlier than usual, and also going through TSA is always kind of a choke point.
According to AAA's projections, over 122 million are expected to travel during the holidays. The U.S. military says it has struck another drug boat in the Eastern Pacific.
At the direction of Secretary Hegseth, U.S. Southern Command posting, saying it was operated by designated terrorist organizations and one narco-terrorist engaged in narco-trafficking was killed.
In the meantime, the U.S. is increasing pressure on Venezuela as it works to intercept tankers used to transport sanctioned oil. 47 has said the U.S. plans to keep the oil seized as well as the vessels. Colorado immigration activist Jeanette Vizguera has been released from an ICE detention facility in Aurora. An immigration judge gave Vizguera a $5,000 bond, and her family posted the bond on Sunday. New safety and security steps are being put in place at Brown University following the murders of 2 students and 9 others injured. As you remember, part of the review process has meant putting Rodney Chapman, Vice President for Public Safety and Emergency Management for the Ivy League school, on leave. New Trump-class battleships have been announced by DJT. 47 said they will be the most lethal battleships the world has ever seen. The president said there will be 2 ships built first, followed by another 8, and eventually 25 new battleships.
A lot of people are very angry that this continues. A lot of Republicans are angry because of the fact that it's just used to deflect against a tremendous success.
Overnight, the DOJ made more than 11,000 Epstein files available in its latest release, including court records, emails, videos, and news clippings. All right, Jeff, time to call balls and strikes here. I have to do it.
What do we get?
I didn't get to this yesterday. I wanted to get to it, but we were talking about Nicki Minaj, and that's why you cannot put her on the stage.
MAGA star Nicki Minaj.
That's right. That's right. Here we go.
And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
Okay,
what does that even mean? I don't know. Is she talking about his assassin on X, or that he set up the assassination of Charlie Kirk?
She said that to Erica Kirk's face, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, the whole thing.
I'm not saying that Nicki Minaj is this great role model that all young girls should follow, but dude, she's had enough of new scum.
But here's what I'm saying. If your turning point at this point, here we go. You can't. Don't put her on stage. This thing was so odd. It was so weird. She's calling him an assassin because she's a rapper, right? Is she a rapper? What is she?
Yeah, she's a rapper.
Okay, so
she's the anti-Beyonce right now.
So what she's saying, he's, J.D. Vance is incredible. He's the assassin. He takes care of business. He's a great debater. Whatever. I realize what she was saying, but she's she's sitting up there. She's not smart enough to realize, I'm not going to use the word assassin in this situation, and just distance yourself from people like her.
I think that's like the perfect turning point. She's like a scholar and a leader amongst turning point. That's the perfect demographic. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, until we're paying the rest of them the money that Kamala Harris paid Beyonce and Cardi B and the rest of them, I don't think there's any complaint there. We're not paying Nicki Minaj.
We're not bringing Nicki Minaj to the Democratic Socialist American conferences, that's for sure. Just throwing that out there.
And where are those conferences, by the way?
One of the previous ones was in
state
Chicago.
Capital.
It was in Chicago in 2024.
Okay.
I don't know what the last one was.
Perfect place for it.
I'm trying to think where it was last time, but yeah.
Probably a pretty good event, though. It's probably entertaining. Very entertaining.
They can't get through the personal pronouns part of it yet.
I think all political parties is like herding cats now.
Well, they're all dorks. It's kind of funny to watch even Republicans and Democrats try to dance. That's like one of my funniest things at all the conventions is watching Hillary Clinton with the balloons and then any Republican try to dance too.
Well, it's like another thing that's like a interesting creation of American politics is the way that we elect our leaders here, and there's no party apparatuses or necessary ideologies with them, is everyone has to be kind of a showman and charismatic. If you went to a lot of like European countries, they're like, politicians aren't charismatic. They're like boring technocrats who we choose out of a list to lead something, right? It's like a fascinating thing that American culture has, produced, that you have to be the greatest showman in order to be president now.
I don't know, Blake. Apparently they're electing first ladies with male genitalia in France, right?
Yeah, absolutely they are. They already have.
So I didn't know you were such a huge Candace Owens fan.
Well, somebody in this conversation is.
I love someone asking questions. I mean, I want questions to be asked of if there's an assassination. I don't think you can ask enough questions. That's the way I feel about it. So I think she's done an incredible investigation.
You believe Brigitte Macron has a penis, don't you?
Absolutely.
I don't know anything about
without question.
You haven't followed this at all?
I don't even want to know. Actually, I don't care about France. I live in the USA.
It's a socialist paradise in France. It's just overrun by Muslims and male.
You know what France does
first
really
ladies.
well? 70% of France's energy comes from nuclear.
Yeah.
Nuclear, I'm all for.
I agree.
What
That's
are we
the
doing in
best thing they
America
do.
that we can't build the nuclear reactors? Half of North Dakota and South Dakota is empty. Just put a couple there.
And from what I understand, it takes so long to build them, but I feel like we need to start building them now. I'm right there with you.
Look at that. Blake is agreeing with welcome to the party, comrade.
Look, I'm starting to lean. I see all these oligarchs, and I'm starting to believe we're in a uniparty. And look, I'm right there with. I want to ask the questions, but the free market is king, and the government is not. And politicians should be farmers. They should come in there for 4 years and get the hell out of there, right?
I just think it's fascinating that people cling on to power. John Hickenlooper, for example, right? John Hickenlooper, progressives and other Democrats like me, we were telling Hickenlooper's staff, listen, Hickenlooper has the chance to retire and pass the torch. He's 75 years old, and if he does that, he will go down as the guy who was elected as mayor twice. The guy who was governor twice and kept the state blue during 2010 and 2014 and then beat Cory Gardner, right? Democrats would love you forever. But instead, he's running for office. And he's going to be over 80 years old. He has a 3-year-old son.
But isn't it? But you
spend
see
time with your
so
son.
Deep,
I'm so fascinated that people keep choosing this stuff. We need term limits.
But you see it in their eyes. I see it in their eyes, too. When they get to walk into a room with their little name badge, the little elected official, and everybody's like, oh, look at you. You're an elected official.
Yes.
They love I think that's why they do it.
Did you all, I'm not sure if it was last session or 2 sessions ago where the Colorado State Legislature there's a bipartisan bill to allow lobbyists who were former elected officials to wear name badges that said former elected official. I was like, who wants this bill? Who is this bill for? This is the name tag bill?
True.
At the end of the day, that's why Hickenlooper does it, man. Yeah. Because once he's done, he becomes irrelevant. What else is he going to do? You know who this reminds me of? I saw this firsthand, Arlen Specter. Do you remember this guy from Pennsylvania?
No.
Okay, so Arlen Specter was a senator from Pennsylvania. Okay. He loses the Republican race to a Democrat. Okay, he'd been a senator for 50 years or something like that.
Yep.
Then comes and decides to run as an independent, fails there, then decides to run as a Democrat. Right? So he's telling everybody he doesn't really have any principles. Yeah. He just wants to be in office. Then loses that election. So he's lost 3 elections and then dies 2 weeks later.
Yep.
There's some of these people they have no other purpose.
I will say, I genuinely feel like, someone who's lobbied inside the building, I would say 60% to 70% of these elected officials probably don't actually have much of an ideology. The Democrats in Colorado would be Republicans in the South, or the Republicans in the South would be Democrats in Colorado. They just want power, right? And then it's up to other people to influence them which way. Hey, my side will make sure you win, or my side will make sure you win, right? And it is very unfortunate that I would say politics either creates broken people or broken people are kind of attracted to it for some reason, that power-seeking factor. I'm on paternity leave right now, and my wife is on maternity leave, right? I don't want to work ever again. I just want to, hanging out with my baby and my wife are, the greatest things ever. And the fact that John Hickenlooper, instead of doing that, he has a 3-year-old son. He wants to be a senator again until he's 80 years old. Dianna Feinstein's dying in office at 80, 90. I just don't get it. Why these people
I don't either.
do this.
Well, there's just nothing else.
Power.
But I mean, you saw Faith Winter crash 2 times the legal limit, and Democrats knew she had a drinking problem. This was a discussion we had yesterday. Do you think James Coleman and others should have done more to confront her drinking problem?
So the Democrats did, I believe, censure her or like a similar
but
thing.
James
and then
voted against that.
And then she did step away from her leadership role that she had in the caucus. And, it's very unfortunate what happened to Faith. Like, my heart goes out to her family. My heart goes out to her kids. Like, no matter what you believe about her politics, she still had teenagers, right? And to lose a parent that young, it's, like, devastating. I would say the alcohol abuse I see at the Capitol is bipartisan, right? It's probably the most bipartisan thing at the Capitol, unfortunately. It's like you see Republicans and Democrats do this. And if you started policing the activities of elected officials that way, I think that would be a interesting ground. Because, like, I would say, like, after a long night, at least a handful of those elected officials on both sides of the aisle are having a couple of drinks and driving home.
But see,
so, like,
but
if you had
having
like
a little drink is one thing, but like she was so drunk at one point, she was censured because she was showing up at public meetings to the point where she couldn't drive home. Like law enforcement was like, "You're out of control. You can barely string a sentence together." Like that's a little different in my mind than topping off a little bit of whiskey at 10 o'clock at night on a late session.
The minority leader of the Republican caucus, I forgot his name, from Fort Collins area, Lynch. He had a DUI as well, or he was like caught drunk, and then he tried to call the lobbyists. Julie Gonzalez, who's running against Hickenlooper, she ran in 2018, and Dan Pabon was supposed to win that state Senate seat, and he got caught on camera also like drinking and driving. So it is a thing that's happened, unfortunately, on both sides of the aisle. I don't know what's a better way to police it. I think if we had a more reactive politics, right? The fact that if you win office, you get to stay in office as long as you want is very unfortunate.
Show up drunk to work.
So like, I think it is part of this thing. It happens on the left, it happens on the right, and I hope those people, like, if you are battling health issues, I think you should be able to take care of those first, and there should be some sort of accountability. And it's just sad that we're in this place.
Yeah. Another, I guess there is a reason for self-driving cars after all. Right, Jeff? All right, I'll button this up and I'll send it back to you guys. 35 in Westminster, 36 in Centennial, 38 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Billy, and that voice you hear is deep, and he is in the holiday spirit. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area calls for cool temperatures early this Tuesday morning. Temperatures, though, well above average for this time of the year, and we'll be looking at unseasonably warm wintertime conditions leading up to and through Christmas Day with some record warmth. The possibility today, on into tomorrow, and Christmas Day. We'll see highs near 70 degrees. We'll have some mid and high level cloudiness, but it'll be dry. Winds will be breezy, and overnight lows only near 40 degrees. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's not only Deep Singh Badesha, Democrat Socialists of America, live in studio with us. The debate is robust and hot. It's also Festivus.
Happy Festivus. What's Festivus? When George was growing up, his father...
It's nothing. It's a stupid holiday my father invented. It doesn't exist.
Happy Festivus, Georgie.
It's the airing of grievances. So if you have felt you have been grieved, here's George Costanza on the creation of Festivus.
Many Christmases ago, I went to buy a doll for my son. I reached for the last one they had, but so did another man. As I rained blows upon him, I realized there had to be another way.
What happened to the doll?
It was destroyed. But out of that, a new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
So feel free to call in and air your grievances. Right, left, center. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115. By the way, coming up next hour, Lily Tang Williams, Libertarian and Republican. She's well known here in Colorado in Libertarian circles, moved to New Hampshire and ran for Republican out there. It's going to join us. It's going to be a fascinating conversation. In the meantime, let's go to the phone lines. Adam, let's go to Sarah in Denver. Good morning, Sarah. You're on with Jeff and Deep.
Oh, good morning. I don't care for Diane to get, but the person who's running against her, I care even less because she was just talking platitudes, at least for the couple of minutes that she was on. Wasn't impressive, didn't make any common sense, didn't make anybody feel better as far as, you can do it if you, just hate. She was full of hate corporations. Who employs people? I don't. Corporations do. And that's what I wanted to say, and I would highly recommend have somebody read the book by Michael Malice, The White Pill. It's a tale of good and evil, and it's brilliant, and I think it should be required reading for all high school students. Because
look at that government intervention right there, requiring certain things to be read.
Well, I know they require now anyway. And they require, so, it's supposed to be parent involvement in reading lists.
Deep, I want to ask you to
government.
respond to her comment that the guest that we had early on.
Are you familiar with Ayn Rand? Are you familiar with Is he familiar with Michael Malice?
I went through my libertarian phase. I read
No,
Atlas
I know
Shrugged.
you do.
I read Fountainhead. Also, I will say, Diana DeGette actually has two challengers. So she has Malak Quiros and Wanda James. So she's being challenged by two different women.
Yes, but she says, and it's very true, it is almost impossible to convey to a free people what it is like to live in a totalitarian dictatorship. And that's really basically what we're living in. When government has the control and they hate a certain group of people and they want to make the rules and regulations, it's coming true. It comes true.
All right, Deep, I'm going to give you a chance to respond. Thank you, Sarah, for your call.
Sure.
That's
Thanks,
Sarah
Sarah.
in Denver. Sarah's line is open if you want to join us at 303-696-1971. Go ahead, Deep.
Yeah, I think Malat was in the Festivus spirit, so we were airing grievances. I think one of the things that Democrats that are Democratic socialists that are challenging Democrats are doing well is talking about a new vision for America, right? I think Democrats were unsuccessful in 2024 in particular because they were running the fact that Trump is bad, MAGA bad. And then everyone's like, but what the hell do you want, right? And the Democrats were like, not that. I think what Zohran Mamdani did really well in New York City is offer a different vision, right? A different vision forward. Like, what else can we build? What's a new thing forward that we can look towards? And I think that's something that voters all across the spectrum are going to be looking for. And I think that's something that Trump capitalized on, right? Like, I think Republicans for the longest time were just running like, we're not Democrats, we're not Barack Obama.
But wasn't Trump Make America Great Again? It was a return to the greatness of America. Well, if you want to build something new, what is that new thing when you have the greatest country in the free world?
Well, aren't you asking Donald Trump that because he said "Make America Great Again"?
Yeah, like he was returning to what makes America, as opposed to I'm wondering what you guys want to build. What is the new thing?
You know, America was great when unionized labor was almost 40 or 50% of the workforce, and the top corporate tax rates were 90%, and the rich were paying over 90% of progressive income taxes. Yeah, I totally believe in going back to that. So let's do it. I think the vision that we need is we need a country and a society that's willing to put humans above profit, right? We need to think about what makes a society better, and is it a for-profit motive at all costs, or are there other things we can prioritize? Our children, our families.
What becomes the force behind that? Like, how do you force a society to put human beings ahead of profit?
So right now we've actually done the opposite, right? I think I would be much more about, we've talked a little bit about this in terms of a philosophical debate, right? Where power corrupts, right? When you hand power to a handful of individuals or one individual, they think they're the hero of their own story and they become corrupted by that power. The best thing for society is to diffuse that power as much amongst as many people as possible. In terms of government, that's a representative government where people are really active in their democracy. When it's corporations, that means having employees a part of the governing structure of companies, right? This is a very successful model that works in other countries, right? Corporations there still are profitable or still are very innovative, but they don't need to make a profit every single quarter. They don't need to put shareholder value above everything else.
But you don't have a corporation if you don't have profit. All right.
That's not necessarily true. Look at Europe, look at Asia.
Deep segment Asia, live in studio, Democrats, Socialists of America. All right, folks, let's talk the gun room. If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know how much I care about freedom. I'm not a socialist. Responsibility and supporting local businesses that have stood the test of time. That's why I want to tell you about the gun room. The gun room has been Denver's oldest firearms dealer since 1982. And when you walk in, you feel it. Real wood, real craftsmanship, a shop that actually looks like a gun store, less plastic, more tradition. They buy, sell, and consign any and all firearms from antique and vintage to hunting and tactical, and they do something big box stores never will. They work closely with families who have lost a loved one and need help handling a gun collection with care and respect. Inventory changes daily with over 1,000 firearms in stock, so if you're thinking about buying, especially with new restrictive laws coming from our socialist government, you should act now. Support local, support family-owned, support freedom. Visit denvergunroom.com or call 303-237-1300. denvergunroom.com. That's the Gun Room, a Colorado original, denvergunroom.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, Denver's news talk leader, 710 KNUS.
I find your belief system fascinating.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out this week, enjoying a much-deserved vacation with the family. And live in studio with us is Deep Singh Badesha, Democrat Socialists of America. It's also Festivus out there.
Welcome, newcomers. The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
And we've been hearing about it all day. Problems with the capitalists, problems with the corporations, problems with the socialists and the communists. So talk radio is perfect. It's like our chief holiday is Festivus, where you can call and air your grievances. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line, 720-819-5115. Text message coming in from Julie in Denver. Deep, quick question for you. Do you consider the USA a democracy or a constitutional republic? A democracy is a country that is the ideal of universal equity. The ideal of a constitutional republic is individual liberty. In a democracy, the leaders who are voted in have the absolute power to make whatever laws they please by majority among themselves. In a constitutional republic, the lawmakers who are voted in make laws by a majority vote among themselves, but cannot make any laws they please. Their Festivus grievance is this: the socialists and communists in this country have subverted the language in this country for at least a century, calling the USA a democracy. Your response, Deep?
I think it would be really important for Julie to become the head consultant of the Republican Party nationwide and run on the fact that we're not a democracy. I think that's how you probably win elections as a Republican for sure. No, I think, we live in a society that we want to be governed equitably and fairly, and we do live in a democracy, right? We have many forms of direct democracy in Colorado, whether it's Tabor. You can't increase your taxes in the state without direct representation. That's an aspect of our democracy that we have in Colorado.
Do you think Democrats have subverted the will of the people by going around Tabor?
No, I think in 2026, my good friends at the Bell Policy Center, Chris Kennedy and other folks, are going to, a coalition of folks, are going to ask the voters again. I remember like, hey, Tabor was voted 30 years ago. We want a little bit of a tweak to it. What do you think?
Isn't that a rejection of democracy? If you're going to take away the ability to raise taxes from the people and hand it to government officials?
We live, society is constantly evolving, right? When the U.S. was first created, the people who could vote and govern our society were white land-owning men. So it wasn't even just all white men, it was just the land-owning men, right? We have expanded that to become the world's greatest democracy in a way by having it's multicultural, it's multi-ethnic, women can vote, poor folks, rich folks, all across the vote, right? And that's an amazing, beautiful thing. It's always going to come with its own trappings, but I absolutely believe we live in a democracy. We should have protections, right? It's not like you shouldn't have a democratic government that can vote out, your right to freedom of religion, right? I would believe in some ways there should be limits put on that by the Constitution, right? But this is all an exercise in
but going back to Tabor, if you believe that we're the world's greatest democracy, then if we're going to raise our taxes, which is forced theft by the government at the end of a gun, shouldn't the people have a direct say into that?
I mean, they're going to have a direct say into it, right? In 2026, when the progressive income tax is on the ballot, they're going to have a yes or no vote.
That would take it away from people, though. Well, would it be less democratic?
So Tabor was passed by a narrow margin in 1992, right? If this progressive income tax does pass, let's say it passes 55%, 57%, that's also a legitimate vote of the people, right, for a progressive income tax. And it's not getting rid of all of Tabor, right? It's getting rid of the portion where somehow billionaires pay the same tax rate as a plumber. So...
All right,
I believe in democracy. I'm not sure about my colleagues on the right here, but as a democratic socialist, it's important for me, for the working class, to have a fair say in this country.
By taking away their rights and handing the taxes the power to tax to the government. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Mary from Wyoming texting in. Share the Rush Limbaugh Thanksgiving story. The Pilgrims started out as socialists. Remember, community living and the 1% equal share didn't work. People died, and then it went to each own their own land, free market, and they thrived. Jeff, I'm in the gun room. Go, Jeff. That's awesome. Way to go. Iggy, Trump should make Festivus a national holiday. Do you appreciate Trump allowing free access to the parks on his birthday? Is that a man of great compassion?
We are
allowing free access in honor and celebration of our president.
You know, we've been spending a lot of time talking about like the ego of politicians, the limelight they desire. Like Donald Trump has always wanted to be in the limelight and control and have that power. I don't know what we're gonna do. He's already named his birthday as a national holiday, right? Like,
yes.
How much further is this egomaniac's trip gonna go? Is gonna run for a third term, right? Is he gonna say like I'm?
By the way,
like
do you have Santa Trump? Let's key that up, and we'll get back to that next. You're gonna love this song, Santa Trump. All right, let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis, the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. Dan Caplis Law, the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law, a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. Brian in Littleton wondering about your background. We'll get back to that real quick. But Deep Singh Badesha, a activist here in Colorado, a member of the Democrat Socialists of America, serves as a lobbyist down at the state capitol, an attorney, a married father, brand new baby girl, parents from India, or grandparents from India? Grandparents. Parents.
Family from India.
Family from India owned liquor stores.
Yep, small mom and pop liquor store in Colorado Springs.
And Deep, also, I want them to keep every dollar that they earned and pass it on to their granddaughter.
One of the greatest beards in Denver. Actually,
you do have.
I think that's
100% greatest beard in Denver. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, Denver's news talk leader, 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out this week. Deep Singh Badesha's live in studio with us. As we, Deep's a member of the Democrat Socialists of America. Adam, let's tee up Santa Trump. I'd love to get Deep's response to Santa Trump. This was from our station here.
He's flying in loud, wrapped in red, white, and blue, making promises bigger than the North Pole view. He's got a list, it's tremendous, they say. Best list ever made, believe me, okay. He says prices are dropping, jobs everywhere, factories humming, flags in the air. Santa Trump is coming to town. Gas is so cheap you won't believe the sound. Prices down, jobs all around. Santa Trump is coming to town.
How do you like that? That's a banger. You're going to be singing that. Santa Trump coming to town, Deep?
You know, I feel like just like how Santa is a fake mythology about delivering presents to people, but it's become a corporate grift. That's a great metaphor for Donald Trump. So I think it really does fit. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that is pretty good. But it could be worse. You could have Kamala the Grinch.
Yeah,
stealing everybody's gifts.
Yeah. Or Joe. I don't think. Maybe Kamala was like more like the Who villager, right? It's like the Grinch felt like more like a Joe Biden-esque figure, maybe. Like, but I don't know if those are the accurate comparisons at all. I haven't seen the Grinch in a while, but I will say, having a 12-week-old daughter,
it's all coming. Are you going to celebrate Christmas?
Christmas is like an American holiday, more or
yeah,
less.
because we're a Christian nation.
So, my wife and I celebrated. We were in 2019, so this like 5-6 years ago, we were in Chandigarh in India, and we were there for like the whole month of December. And it's fascinating. You're looking around and you see Christmas trees and you see this, and there's almost no Christians there.
Yeah.
And I'm asking people, they're like, well, the aesthetic is just so cool. And I'm like, that is true. The aesthetic of like Christmas trees and the lights and the spirit of it. So in that way, we do participate because I think it's like a cool aesthetic.
Santa Trump is going to bring you good gifts, even if you don't believe in him.
He's going to bring coal back,
that's what he's
right?
Gonna, yes, that's right.
He's bringing the coal industry back. Santa Trump is not delivering gifts, just coal.
That's Deep Singh Badesha, Democrat Socialists of America. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to be joined by Lily Tang Williams. Yes, you probably know that name. She was a fixture here in Colorado for many years as a libertarian leader. She's now since moved to New Hampshire, where she's run as a Republican, but she's going to be live in studio, so we're going to have Lily Tang Williams, libertarian, Deep Singh Badesha, socialist, me, a conservative. We're all together. It's a Christmas miracle. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS.